Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I'm so grateful that we still have, how should I don't want to say enemies, but they are people who don't get along. Because when you have at least two sides, you really are, not like the Republicans and the Democrats here. No, they're not like that. Right now, you have, let's say, one side is with Russia and China, India, and so on. The other ones is United States and its vassal states, because they are trying to use propaganda, obviously, to denigrate each side. Therefore, you're gonna hear something here about those guys over there. Yeah, exaggeration and so on, but you can still verify it in other sources. There are some neutral ones, believe me or not. No, don't believe me. Check it out anyway. And you hear from these guys what these guys did. Therefore, you can compare and see. Oh, so you're like this. Oh, you're like this. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did this. If you have only one, like United States of America, you have the mass media, which is everything. The big mass media, the corporate media, 99% is in unison, goes in one direction. Sometimes you used to have Fox saying a little bit more, but Carlson is out, so now you have it all over there. You can't really find the truth. Whatever these guys are telling you, that's it. Unless you have an enemy, who's going to tell you about what happens in your little house that you don't know. In this case, I would, or you would not have heard about this unless you lived, let's say, in Serbia or in that area, local, or wouldn't have heard about it. But you hear it because the Russians are very eager to promote this piece of news, or at least what Vucic, the president of Serbia, said regarding the Western weasels visiting him. And I don't think you're going to be surprised. If you're surprised, I'm happy, because that would help you step a little bit higher in understanding what the hell is going on and how those guys really are. All right, so let's get going with this article, which comes from Sputnik. You can say, well, these guys are lying. Well, they're going to use Vucic's quotation. So whatever he said, statements, is not their interpretation of what happened. They're going to insert their interpretation, obviously, but we take out of this what Vucic says. And this is what he said right here. Vucic, this is an hour ago. Oh my God, on May 8th. Every Western representative demands anti-Russian sanctions in meetings regardless of topic. Did you hear that? Now, are you going to say this guy's an idiot? Well, if you want to put your head in the sand, you can do that and just turn off this video. But I think that maybe not every, but a great number, just to be a little bit more balanced, because he's got his side, he's really on one side right here, which is the Serbian side. And they try to maneuver on this planet and among these weasels the best they can. Serbia is not a big country. Serbia doesn't have a big population. Serbia is a landlocked country. That's bad. If these guys don't want a plane to come to Serbia, there's not going to be any planes landing in Serbia, okay? Because they're not going to open their airspace for them, like they did with Lavrov about, 8 months ago or something. He wanted to visit Serbia, and none of the friendly countries surrounding Serbia opened their airspace. All of them closed it. So you see what I mean? So they have to pick sides, because independence is not an option here, or to be sovereign, because you're going to be smacked by both. And these guys, which are closer to you, which is the European Union and United States, they're going to try to squash these guys like this, squish like this, unless they agree with Kosovo and this and that, and that's a non-negotiable. So let's see what else Vucic has to say here. So I'm quoting, earlier I already spoke about this, about pressure ultimatums. I'm already used to it. At every meeting with them, like good afternoon, about any Russian sanctions. Probably this is what they call a political agenda, Vucic told Serbian TV channel. So, good afternoon, and then immediately about anti-Russian sanctions. He said that although he did not promise not to support Western sanctions against Russia, Official Belgrade still manages to comply with, probably officially, Belgrade still manages to comply with the decision of its National Security Council of March 2022 and not introduce restrictive measures despite all statements and expectations of the current authorities' political opponents. Russia has repeatedly said it will cope with the sanctions pressure the West began to exert on Russia several years ago and continues to increase. Moscow has said that West lacks the courage to admit the failure of the anti-Russian restrictions. I think they didn't achieve not even close to what they thought. In the Western countries themselves, opinions have been repeatedly voiced. Okay, this is Sputnik. We don't want to hear Sputnik. So here is nothing anymore. So basically he said what he said. Every representative of the collective West, this is again Sputnik, at any meetings with Serbia's leadership, regardless of the topic of the conversation, demands sanctions against Russia. Serbian President Alexander Vucic stated. Well, what are you going to do about it? One thing that really concerned me at one point, it was when Vucic, he came from Brussels, I think, or he was supposed to go to Brussels and discuss with the Albanians from Kosovo and Brussels what they're gonna do. They're gonna give them everything or nothing, or what? Nothing. They already gave them something, so even if they don't recognize it. And then Vucic, if you remember, he made some statements and I was like, what? You're gonna be lynched. And almost he was lynched. He said, well, if we don't do what the Western countries are telling us, they're going to impose an economic embargo on us. Their companies would leave, they will sanction us, and we're going to be destroyed. And everybody said, okay, you Vucic, you know what I mean? We're already there. What do you want? And I think it was a little fight in the parliament or something, in the Serbian parliament, and Vucic said, okay, I guess I'm going to go and keep saying what I've been saying. But that was concerning. And regarding this, what can you do? What can you do? You want to live with this kind of people? I mean, imagine now Serbia is a non-aligned country like it was under the Yugoslavia. When it was Yugoslavia with Tito, it was unaligned. That means it did not listen to those guys and listen to those guys. It was independent. And there were a lot of unaligned countries then. It seems like they're trying to do the same thing, but that's not an option anymore. These guys that want you to be their friend, they treat you in a certain way. They actually show who they are. Imagine when you go and you get in their gang, how they're going to treat you, because you're caught at that moment. Like, for instance, Hungary or Poland, they're caught. How many billions the European Union keeps from Poland and Hungary, because they say, well, you need to do that reform according to our values that now you must have. And the guy says, you can stick your billions in your ass, we don't care about it. Just look at that. But then that's a blackmail right there. You're with us, our values, you change that. What we don't want, that's our tradition, that's our culture, that's our, no, we don't care about that. This is the European values, but aren't we in Europe? Why don't you consider our values? So if Serbia gets over there, it's going to be treated like a possession, a vassal state. But right now it's threatened. Unfortunately, as I said, its geographical position is very bad. Unless there's going to be another country around that's going to break away from this ball grip, then I don't know. I expect to be straight. I expect I don't want to say a splendid little war like the one in Cuba, if you remember, or the Mexican War. No, that wasn't Cuba. A splendid little war. Wasn't it a Spanish War? That's how it was. But it started with Cuba's in the Cuban harbor. That American ship exploded in Havana harbor. And then they say, it was the Spaniards. Spaniards said, no, it was not us. We don't care. We're just going to fuck you up because we need this area. That's how they got Cuba. How do you think they got Cuba and all that? How do you think they kicked? The same way, man. And they talk about the Russians. It's unbelievable, man. These guys did it way before those guys did it. Where do you think these guys learned it? You talk about Hitler's Sudetenland, grabbing them, or grabbing the Czechoslovakia. Where do you think the guy learned that? I mean, look at the little Mexican War, not Spanish War, Mexican War, and you're gonna find out how that happened. Oh, American blood was spilled on the Rio Grande on U.S. territory. It was not U.S. territory; it was disputed, and who stuck its tail in to defend its population in Texas, which belonged to Mexico. Remember that one? Again, they entered to help support like Americans, like Americans, like a Russians support their Russian-speaking guys over there because, the guys over there did something bad to their connationals. And the same with Hitler. We're going to enter here because our connationals are... But Hitler was in 39, right? 1939, 1938. And these guys were what? In 18, whatever that was, 50 or something. I can't remember, something like that. Just look for it. Look at it. Read it if you don't know. I'm just giving you general information, but you can look into it and you understand that everything was done before. It's unfortunate that countries that now put medals of, ethical medals, and, we are this, we're the perfect here, and somehow we are above everybody else. They did it before. I mean, really? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do like this sometimes. Well, I mean, not sometimes, all the time. When you have a speaker or you have someone talking to you and that person plays intellectual and all that, look if he matched his socks and shoes color. Just start with that, okay? And then you're gonna go from there. If he doesn't have that fit over there, something is lacking somewhere. He jumped some steps, It's like, for instance, a monkey riding a bike, all right? You can teach a monkey to ride a bike, but you can't teach a monkey to put together a bike, to create a bike. So it's steps that the monkey jumped. From being a monkey, jumped straight riding a bike. There are a little bit of, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't be intellectual and be fantastic and don't match but I think you should know that. It's like, for instance, you're at a table and you start burping or farting. You should know those things before you talk about Nietzsche and foreign policy and smoke a cigar and drink bourbon or whatever you drink, okay? That's my way of seeing things. I'm just sharing with you. You don't care? What? See, I'm a gentleman. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.